Andy was in a band called Groove Armada. They were touring the world about 15 years ago. He was coming back from a gig one day, and he read an article about modern agriculture and all the problems that go with it. And at the end was this amazing bit of journalism that said, if you don't like the system, don't depend on it. His first response to that was to start growing vegetables for himself at home, where he was living in southwest France at the time. And then, as he will tell it, the first time he saw the seed become a plant and the plant become food, like his entire world changed. He then, the vegetable patch became a polytunnel. The polytunnel then became a small stall at the local market in France. And then he took the appalling financial decision to sell his publishing rights for his music, which should have been his pension, and buy a farm in France, having never spent any time on a farm before. And I'll tell you this, the farm that the French will sell to a 6'9" English DJ is not the best farm in France.
Shocker.
It's arguably the worst farm in France. It was I think it had less than 0.5% organic matter. It was technically infertile, you could say. And then having never driven a tractor, never operated a grain silo, having never set up a fencing before, he embarked on a version of organic agriculture, and the results were predictable, if depressing. And all he got back was a series of plants that we don't want, which you can call weeds. He then embarked upon a number of years of trying to fight mechanical warfare rather than chemical warfare against nature. And as you guys will know and have heard from all sorts of people you've had on this podcast, nature will win. And nature was winning hard. And Andy was taking himself to the brink of financial ruin. And he came across this book written a very long time ago by a guy called Albert Howard. We always say, if you only ever read one book about agriculture, it could be this. The long and short of it is, in nature, there exists a diversity of plants and animals at all time. And when you replace that diversity with any sort of mono-based system, you take a perfect solution and create a lot of problems. And so as a last roll of the dice, he then put his entire farm down to a diverse cover crop and bought a herd of cattle, having never had a cat or a dog before. And
go straight to cow, man. Who needs domestic?
Yes,
you know,
yeah, exactly. Go straight in, and within a year, his soil was looking visibly different. And he then became obsessed with how can I grow crops in this soil while doing the least damage and continually improving it? How could I grow a cash crop in a healing soil, a continually healing soil? Okay, bingo. Then he went to sell the crop into the local grain dealer, which is just an extension of global commodity markets. And the numbers didn't add up. It just simply didn't add up. Hence why we're all here, right? And this was his moment of like, I really am screwed. Now that I don't, I've figured all this beautiful thing out, but all of these things that, we call externalities aren't paid for. They don't live on the spreadsheet. You guys know this.